Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back here with part two of what I think the AU should do, and basically some ideas and suggestions of whatnot. I suppose an idea is kind of a suggestion in a way, perhaps, or I see it that way. Anyway, for what the AU, in my opinion, should do to benefit all of Africa as well as themselves in the long run. I think the more they look after their own people in the long run, rather than chasing short-term profits, the more better they'll do in the long run. But as ever, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. I'd love to read what you think in the comments, but I take it literally, and I'll try and crack on with the video. But yeah, so here goes. So number 11, I think it'd be great if they supported African inventors, investors, ideas people, creatives, and things like that, and encouraged like promotion of selling African items, goods, and services, and all that all around the world. Yeah, so promote those sorts of projects, African projects around the world. Number 12, I think it'd be cool if they also helped to encourage Africans who have done well, including even those from the diaspora, how would you pronounce it, as I often mention, to as I hope to mention, sorry, in the next video, to mentor and teach and train people across Africa and support young people, as I said before, and also like promote positive. Again, I hope to come to this in more detail, but promote positive images of African stories from Africa, just like Wode Maya, if I pronounce his name right. I hope he watches this video, but apologies if I butchered your name. But yeah, people like that, like the positive images that they, I think he has videos that talk about the positive images they don't show in the news, but I think they should honor and acknowledge people like him. Again, I hope to come to that in more details. Number 13, yeah, I just hope somehow these ideas won't be wasted. I hope that somehow by making these videos, they'll be promoted, but I do have my doubts and fears, but I thought I'd share them anyway. Number 14, I hope they'll solve problems together. They'll address issues that they face and the struggles they have, and like solve those issues together and hopefully make the world a better place, not just for Africans and themselves and each other, but also for the rest of the world as well. Number 15, they could also work with indigenous Australasians, but again, I hope they connect Africa together, especially through Central Africa, and possibly that could be a hub for all of Africa to meet up and discuss ideas and things like that. But also, I think like South Africa, for instance, which went through apartheid and things like that, is famous for going through apartheid and things like that, famous or infamous, however you look at it. I think that South Africa could be like a hub to unite all of Southern Africa, and maybe on that note, there could be a version of ASEAN, which Asia has, which is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. There could be a version of that in Africa for Southern Africa, and probably have a different acronym, I suppose, because both Asia and Africa start with A, so they probably have to find a way to make a different acronym. I mean, yeah, if it was also called ASEAN, I suppose it would be quite confusing, but maybe it could be ASEAC instead, so they call it countries instead of nations, so it's not so confusing. But yeah, if they had their own version, South Africa could be like the pivotal point of that, which hosts the most events and conferences, which brings Southern Africa together and looks at how they can support each other. And maybe like Kenya or somewhere like that, or Ethiopia could be the hub for Eastern Africa, and a part of Western Africa for Western Africa, and Tunisia or somewhere like that for Northern Africa. My stepdad's from Tunisia, so I have a sort of connection, a small connection, I mean, to Tunisia. But yeah, I mean, it could be somewhere else. But yeah, I think Central Africa mainly should be for all of Africa to unite and have events. The AU, I hope they'll have the most buildings. I was going to say businesses, but most buildings and hubs and things like that, which promote things like how Africa can work together in STEM and business, politics, promoting their art, poetry, writing, and all sorts of things, which I hope will benefit Africa in the long run, not just the short run. Number 16, I think it'd be cool to have committees and think tanks on what are the best ways to help Africa. Yeah, and what sort of things will bring Africans together to have sympathy and compassion and empathy, which is what I think they should have for each other. But yeah, just what would help Africa financially, like help them politically, and to unite. And how I think unity will help to have peace, which could in future hopefully have more tourism. Hopefully something like COVID won't hit again, so hopefully more tourism can be increased through having peace, also cooperation, and they can work together on shared ideas and values and goals, and promote each other's businesses and that sort of thing. And if there's more peace, they don't have to have, like, for instance, energy bills won't be too high, most likely, I suppose, because war makes energy bills higher, and also they'll be able to spend that money that they would spend on wars and things like that, and having to rebuild businesses and housing and things like that. They could be able to spend that money on businesses and growing instead of destroying. I think it's more important to grow. Maybe that could be like a I was thinking a hashtag. It could be a hashtag, but also, like, it could be something that's put on walls and things like that to encourage people to say, like, build, don't destroy us, or things like that, or please build, don't destroy, if you want to be polite. Number 17, as they are, it'd be great to see African inventions and creations and things they make, stories and things like that being promoted around the world. African game makers, like making tech either online, on, like, websites, working together to make websites. I'd love to see a publisher, African publishing, that publishes books online and things like that, which is an idea I hope to come to in the future, all being well, God willing, Godspeed. And video games and all sorts of tech games, as well as board games and things like that. But yeah, just basically creating things and being inventive. And it's another area which I often talk about, like, which dyslexic people or people with ADHD are good at. And again, I hope to come to in more detail, like the awareness and changing perceptions. Or I also wish about neurodiversity and disability generally, and having sympathy for each other, and seeing that people might be weak in some areas, like even people with physical disabilities or mental disabilities might be weak in some areas, but they can be strong in other areas. Like they say, there's a method to the madness. So mad people like me can be creative and come up with ideas and things like as part of that. But yeah, I'd also love to promote animal rights as well as children's rights and all sorts of things like that, and awareness, children's rights and protections, and child protection awareness and animal rights awareness and things like that. Number 18, again, I think it'd be cool if there was, like, more positive stories of Africa, as I say, Wode Maya and other people, Wode Maya and other people, again, sorry about my pronunciation, whatever, could talk about the positive stories you don't see in Africa, or all these sorts of things, like about African inventors, entrepreneurs, positive stories and things like that coming out of Africa, images and stories and videos and things like that. Even like things on Google, like articles and things like that. Number 19, I think it'd be great if Africans, as well as Australasians, Indigenous Africans and Australasians, could work together. And again, they could work with people from the Black diaspora or whatever, to work on software development. And number 20, also on STEM generally. I know I always mention those for those last two, but yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. And again, like Italian football and Celtic could perhaps fundraise, as well as musical companies and other sports companies fundraise for those sorts of things, which I talked about. And yeah, I'd love to hear what you think, and how could I get this message across to the AU? How could I sell this idea to them, so to speak? You think they are good ideas, or these ideas rather, in the plural, and what would your ideas be, and what would your message be to the AU towards benefiting Africa, and what do you think are the best ways to benefit Africa? Anywho, I am out. Peace and love.